You know what the most dangerous thing in the world is? Not failure, not rejection. It's playing small when you were born to live big. Every single one of us has had a moment where a dream flickered in our mind, a crazy, bold, almost impossible idea. And then we shut it down. We tell ourselves, who am I to want that? Who am I to think I could do something so massive? And just like that, we shrink. But here's the truth. You wouldn't even have that dream if it wasn't meant for you. That vision, that wild possibility, that thing that both excites you and terrifies you, that's not random. That's the blueprint of your future trying to break through your doubts. And yes, dreaming big is scary. It will make you uncomfortable. It will feel too much. But that fear, it's the greatest evidence that you're heading in the right direction. Let me start by asking you a question. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to dream? I'm not talking about the little, safe goals like upgrading your phone or maybe taking a short vacation. I'm talking about the kind of dream that makes your heart beat faster. The kind of dream that feels so big, so bold, that it almost scares you to say it out loud. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your dreams are not random. They're not silly. They're not just bursts of imagination you're supposed to ignore once you grow up. Your dreams are the blueprint of your future. They are the raw instructions, the map, the design plan for what your life could be. Think about an architect for a moment. Before a single brick is laid, before the walls rise, before anyone moves into the house, what exists? The blueprint, the sketch, the vision on paper. Without it, nothing gets built. Now, imagine your life without dreams. What are you building? Where are you going? Most people are out here living without a blueprint. They're winging it. They wake up, go through the motions, react to whatever life throws at them, and wonder why they feel stuck. Of course you feel stuck. You're living without a plan that excites you, without a vision pulling you forward. Your dreams are that plan. They are the whisper in your gut that says, you were made for more. And if you ignore them, you're not just dismissing an idea, you're dismissing your future self. Now, I get it. The moment you start dreaming bigger, your brain jumps in and says, yeah, right, be realistic. Who do you think you are? And suddenly you start shrinking that dream down until it feels comfortable, until it feels safe. But here's the harsh truth: safe dreams build average lives. Big dreams build extraordinary ones. Your vision defines your direction. If you dream small, your life follows that path. If you dare to dream big, your life will stretch and bend to meet that vision. And this isn't just motivational fluff. It's how human beings are wired. Your brain is a GPS system. It locks onto the destination you give it. If you keep feeding it small, uninspiring goals, that's all you'll chase. But the moment you declare a big vision, even if it feels impossible, your brain starts noticing opportunities, connections, resources that line up with that dream. It's like this: ever notice how when you decide you want a certain car, suddenly you start seeing it everywhere? That car was always there, you just weren't tuned into it. That's what big dreams do. They tune your brain into possibilities you couldn't see before. And here's where most people get it wrong. They think they need the how before they can dream. That's backwards. The dream comes first. The blueprint comes first. You don't need to know how every wall will be built. You don't need to know where every beam will go. You just need to put the vision on paper. The how reveals itself when you commit to the dream. Let me be blunt: if your current life feels uninspiring, heavy, or stuck, it's because you've stopped dreaming, or your dreams are too small. You've settled into building a one-room shack when deep down you know you were meant to design a castle. And the cost of dreaming small is not safety. It's regret. It's waking up 10 years from now, realizing you ignored the very thing that could have made your life extraordinary. So I want you to understand this. Your dream is not random, it's not impossible, and it's not too much. It's the truest glimpse of who you're meant to become. Your dream is the architect's drawing of your best future. And when you honor it, when you start believing in it, when you let it pull you forward, your entire life begins to change. Because here's the bottom line, your dream is not asking you to figure everything out. It's just asking you to listen, to pay attention, to believe that you are worthy of building the life you keep seeing in your head. That dream is the blueprint. That vision is the direction. And without it, you're just wandering. So stop playing small. Stop shrinking what you want to fit into your current circumstances. Lift your eyes. Let yourself imagine bigger, because your dreams are not crazy. They're calling you home. Let's be honest, big dreams are terrifying. The moment you start thinking about something beyond your current reality, beyond what you've done before, it feels heavy. It feels overwhelming. It feels impossible. And that fear, that knot in your stomach, that voice in your head that says, what if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if people laugh at me? That is exactly what you're supposed to feel. Because fear is the surest sign that your dream is big enough. Think about it. When was the last time you felt fear over something ordinary? You don't wake up scared about brushing your teeth. You don't feel butterflies about scrolling on your phone. You don't panic over things that keep you comfortable. Fear only shows up when you're stretching, when you're pushing the edge, when you're daring to step into something bigger than where you are right now. That's why fear is not your enemy. It's your compass. It's proof that you're moving in the right direction. Let's flip the script for a second. Most of us are trained to run from fear. The moment we feel it, we slam on the brakes. We take it as a warning sign. Don't go there. It's risky. But here's the truth. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's a green light. It's saying, pay attention. This matters. This could change everything. If your dream doesn't scare you, it's too small. Period. Big dreams are supposed to make your knees shake. They're supposed to feel impossible at first. They're supposed to make you second guess yourself, because they're bigger than the person you are today. But here's the magic. You're not dreaming for the person you are today. You're dreaming for the person you're becoming. And stepping into that version of yourself requires growth. Growth always feels uncomfortable. I want you to imagine a rubber band. A rubber band sitting in its natural state has no power, no energy. But when you stretch it, tension is created. That tension is where the energy lies. Your fear is that tension. It means you're stretching beyond what's comfortable, and in that stretch lies your power. Now, here's what most people do when fear shows up. They shrink back. They convince themselves the dream was unrealistic. They say things like, maybe later, or that's not for me, or I don't have what it takes. And just like that, they trade possibility for comfort. They trade growth for safety. They let fear dictate the size of their future. But you don't have to live that way. You can make a different choice. What if you stopped seeing fear as a warning and started seeing it as evidence? Evidence that you're on the edge of something life-changing. Evidence that you're not wasting your time on something small. Evidence that your dream is pulling you out of the box you've been living in. Because here's the truth, every person who has ever done something great, every innovator, every creator, every leader felt fear. They didn't wait for the fear to disappear. They acted in spite of it. And guess what? That's why they succeeded. Not because they were fearless, but because they were brave enough to move forward while scared. Fear will never go away when you're chasing something big. And that's a good thing. It means you're alive. It means you care. It means you're risking something that matters. The goal is not to eliminate fear. It's to make fear your fuel. So the next time you feel fear rise up inside you when you think about your dream, don't shrink. Don't bury it. Don't run back to what's safe. Smile at it. Recognize it for what it is, a signal. A signal that you're on the right path. A signal that your dream is big enough to grow you. Because small dreams won't scare you. Average goals won't keep you up at night. Safe plans won't make your palms sweat. But the dream that keeps tugging at your heart, The one that feels just out of reach. That's the one worth chasing. So let the fear stay. Let it walk beside you. And instead of asking, what if I fail? Start asking, what if this works? What if I become the person I've always wanted to be? That shift changes everything. You know what's dangerous? Not failure, not rejection, not taking a risk. The real danger, the silent killer of potential, is small thinking. Small thinking keeps you trapped. It tricks you into believing you're safe. But in reality, it's the most expensive choice you'll ever make. Because every time you shrink your dreams to fit your current circumstances, you trade possibility for comfort. And that comfort, it comes with a price tag called regret. Let's get real. Small thinking feels good in the moment. It's like sitting on the couch instead of going to the gym. It's easy, it's familiar. Nobody judges you for playing it safe. But the problem is, while it feels good today, it costs you tomorrow. Mediocrity has a way of disguising itself as safety. You stay in the job you hate because at least the paycheck is steady. You hold back your ideas because you don't want to be criticized. You settle for relationships that drain you because being alone feels scarier. That's small thinking. That's the trap. And here's the thing. Small thinking doesn't just keep you from dreaming big. It chains you to an average life. You convince yourself it's not so bad, but deep down, you know it's not what you're capable of. And that gap between what you're living and what you're capable of, that's where frustration, resentment, and regret live. But big dreaming, that's what sets you free. When you let yourself dream bigger than your limitations, bigger than your circumstances, bigger than your excuses, you give yourself permission to break out of the cage you've been living in. It's like someone opening the blinds in a dark room. Suddenly, you see possibility. Suddenly, you feel alive again. And here's the paradox: people think dreaming big is risky. They think, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? But I'll tell you what's riskier: dreaming small. Because small dreams guarantee that you'll never know what you're truly capable of. Small dreams guarantee that you'll stay stuck in the same patterns, the same routines, the same dissatisfaction year after year. Big dreams, on the other hand, demand growth. They demand courage. They demand you become someone new. And yes, that's uncomfortable, but discomfort is the currency of freedom. You don't get to live a life that excites you while staying comfortable. You have to trade comfort for possibility. Think about it this way: a bird in a cage may feel safe, but it's not free. The cage keeps predators out, but it also keeps the sky out. That's what small thinking does to you. It cages you. Big dreaming is you spreading your wings and realizing you were never meant to stay behind bars in the first place. Now, let me tell you something important. Mediocrity isn't neutral. It doesn't keep you where you are. It slowly pulls you backwards. Every time you settle, every time you choose small over big, every time you silence the voice inside you that wants more, you're teaching yourself to live with less than you're capable of. And over time, that erodes your confidence, your energy, your joy. But when you choose to dream big, even if you haven't figured out the how, something shifts inside of you. Your energy changes, your focus sharpens, your brain starts searching for opportunities instead of excuses. You begin to see doors where before you only saw walls. And here's the kicker: you don't need permission to think big. Nobody's gonna hand you a slip of paper that says, okay, now you're allowed to dream bigger. That permission has to come from you. So let me ask you, where in your life have you been thinking small? Where have you been settling for good enough when you know you're capable of great? Where have you convinced yourself that safety is worth the cost of your soul? Because the truth is this: mediocrity will always feel safe, but it will always cost more than you realize. And the only way out is to dare to think bigger, to dream bigger, to believe that there's more for you. Small thinking is the prison. Big dreaming is the key. The question is, are you brave enough to unlock the door? Here's the truth about dreams: they all start the same way, as an idea, a spark, a picture in your mind of what could be. That's how every single breakthrough in history began. Somebody saw it before it existed. But here's the catch: an idea by itself is worthless. It's a wish, a fantasy, a nice daydream. What separates the people who live their dreams from the people who only talk about them? Action. Action is the bridge between imagination and reality. Without it, your dream will stay stuck in your head, taunting you. You'll keep thinking about it, talking about it, maybe even journaling about it, but nothing changes. And that gap between what you imagine and what you live, that gap becomes frustration. We all know people who are full of ideas. They'll tell you about their dream business, their dream project, their dream lifestyle. But year after year, nothing happens. Why? Because they never put one foot in front of the other. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence. And in the process, life passes them by. You want to know a secret? The dream doesn't need a perfect plan. It needs a first step. Every skyscraper starts with a shovel in the dirt. Every book starts with one sentence on a page. Every marathon starts with one step on the pavement. The action doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be real. Let me be blunt: dreaming without action is self-sabotage. It tricks your brain into thinking you're making progress, when really, you're just circling the same fantasy. You get the dopamine hit of imagining the dream without the payoff of living it. That's why people stay stuck. They mistake thinking for doing. But here's where everything changes: when you decide to move. When you decide that even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if you don't have it all figured out, you're going to start. That's when momentum kicks in. Momentum is the secret weapon of dreamers who make it. Because once you start, once you take that first action, no matter how small, you shift your energy. You stop being a dreamer and start becoming a builder. And builders create reality. Now I know what you're thinking. But what if I fail? Let me tell you something. Inaction is the only guaranteed failure. Doing nothing is a decision, and it's the only one that ensures you'll never see your dream come to life. At least when you act, you give yourself a chance. At least when you act, you learn. You grow, you get closer. And here's the wild part. Most of the time, it's not even the big actions that make the difference. It's the small, consistent ones. The email sent, the hours practiced, the conversation started, the habits built, the daily steps compound until one day you look up, and what was once just an idea has become your reality. Think about this: every single person you admire, every innovator, every leader, every creator, they didn't just dream. They acted. They risked looking foolish. They risked failing. They risked judgment. But that risk is what turned their blueprint into a building, their vision into something you can see and touch. So the question isn't, do you have a dream? The question is, are you willing to act on it? Because if you're not acting, you're not dreaming. You're stalling. You're playing pretend. And deep down, you know it. But the second you start moving, the second you take even the smallest step, you break that cycle. So stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for someone to hand you a map. The dream doesn't need a perfect road. It needs your courage to take the first step into the unknown. Because here's the bottom line: ideas are cheap. Action is priceless. Dreams are free. Execution is everything. And if you're not willing to move, you'll spend the rest of your life watching someone else live the dream you keep imagining. Don't let that be you. Don't die with the blueprint still in your head. Act, build, move. That's how you turn a dream into reality. Here's a truth that most people don't want to hear. You don't need to have it all figured out to start. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a step strategy or someone else's permission. All you need is the courage to take the first step. Think about it. How often have you stopped yourself from chasing a dream because you didn't know exactly how it would happen? You want to start a business, but you don't know the marketing. You want to change your career, but you don't know the path. You want to transform your life, but you don't know the formula. So what do? You wait, you procrastinate, you overthink, you stay stuck. But here's the secret: clarity comes after courage, not before it. The how is revealed when you move. You don't need perfect instructions. You need action. You need to say yes to yourself, even when you can't see the entire road. Look at every success story you admire. None of those people woke up fully formed with a perfect blueprint. They didn't have all the answers. They weren't 100% sure it would work. What they did have was courage. They took a step forward without knowing all the steps. And in that act, everything started to unfold. It's terrifying to start when the path isn't clear. Your mind will scream at you. What if you fail? What if you make a mistake? What if you're not ready? And you know what? That's normal. That's human. Fear and uncertainty are part of stepping into something new. But you don't have to let fear stop you. You only need to do one thing. Start. Starting doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be as small as sending an email, making a phone call, writing a paragraph, signing up for that course, or simply saying, I'm going to try. That tiny act of courage changes everything. Momentum begins. Doors open. Lessons appear. The fog clears. Here's the mindset shift that changes the game. Stop asking, how will this work? And start asking, what can I do today? Focus on the next step, not the entire staircase. Focus on showing up, not knowing all the answers. Because each step you take illuminates the next step. Action breeds clarity, movement breeds confidence. Courage breeds results. Most people never start because they wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until fear disappears. But here's the hard truth. Fear will never disappear. Fear is always there when you're growing. The perfect moment doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is this moment, and it's yours to act. When you start without knowing everything, you give yourself permission to learn. You give yourself permission to grow. You give yourself permission to make mistakes. And that's where mastery is born. Clarity doesn't show up in your comfort zone. It shows up when you step into the unknown. It shows up when you dare to act anyway. Imagine if you waited until you knew everything before you took a chance. Where would you be? Nowhere. Nothing would have changed. You'd still be sitting in the same place, dreaming about a life you never dared to live. But the moment you start, something magical happens. The universe begins to respond. Opportunities appear. People notice, ideas connected. Step by step, your dream transforms into reality. So stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop telling yourself you're not ready. You don't have to know how. You just have to dare.